This episode is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, the #1 seller of games and gaming accessories. And GatheringMagic.com, the #1 resource for Magic the Gathering news and articles.
Today I'll be doing a video with Reed. We'll be doing 4 different decks versus his trusty Jund midrange deck. The first deck that I'll be playing is this Bant control list that got 2nd place on Sunday of SCG Orlando. It's a bit different from the other Bant control lists that I've tried before. It has 0 counterspells in the main deck, and it focuses a lot more on creatures and Assemble the Legion. The main differences are we have 3 Centaur Healers, a Sigarda, an Assemble a Legion, and 2 Angel of Serenity. It's still within the Kessig Wolfrun shell, so the game plan versus most decks is to just wrath them a few times, play Revelation, and then try to finish them with Kessig Wolfrun. So it still is very similar to Dator's deck list from the Pro Tour. It's just that counterspells are not very good at the moment. In the post-board games against Reed's deck, I would probably only want Witchbane Orb, Assemble the Legion, Jace Memory Adept, and the counterspells. I don't think Geist is particularly good because it lines up poorly versus Liliana, and Rest in Peace doesn't do anything. So yeah, that's a quick summary of the Bant control deck. It looks pretty solid. Again, it's a lot more creature heavy, so it's a lot harder for him to run me out of threats, I think. Plus, if I ever get Angel into Angel, I think the game's going to be very difficult for him to win. So that's the first deck I'm going to play against him. Another deck I'm going to play against him is the Esper control list, if it'll load. So yeah, this again is a pretty stock Esper list. 4 Drown Yards, 27 lands. The main difference is there's only 2 Think Twice. Still have 2 Dissipates in the main deck, and 2 Planar Cleansing, which are pretty good catch-alls, even to Planeswalkers. Detention Sphere is not very good in a deck like this because you want to maximize Augur rolls. So, yeah, this deck, it's a pretty stock Esper list. 4 Azorius Charm, 2 Think Twice, 5 spot removal spells. Note that 4 of them are designed to kill Geist of St. Traft, otherwise it'd be sort of annoying to deal with. And 2 Dissipate and 2 Syncopate form the 4 counterspells that are pretty standard for the Esper deck. In the board versus him, we're going to want Negate, potentially Duress. I'm not sure about Evil Twin. I might try it and see how it actually works. And we'll probably want the Witchbane Orb as well. Blind Obedience doesn't seem like it does very much for Sim, and obviously again, Rest in Peace doesn't do that much either. So yeah, that is the Esper list that I'll be playing against him. The third deck I'll be playing is the Fog deck. It's kind of unfair to call it a Turbo Fog deck, even though it does have a bunch of fogs. I like to think of it as more of a control deck that happens to have a bunch of fogs in it, just to buy time. So yeah, this is a pretty different looking deck. Has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fog variants, essentially. Jace is kind of like a fog. Wraths are not like specifically fogs, but they do buy a lot of time for your Planeswalkers to take over the game. So yeah, 7 fogs, 2 Snapcasters to rebind fogs, Augur to bind fog. If you ultimate Tameo, then you can actually just fog every turn if you need to. There's a Selesnya Charm to deal with Obsidat, otherwise I think it's pretty likely to just kill you in this deck. 1 Azorius Charm. And is there anything else really special about it? I guess it has Gideon, Garrick, and Jace to win with quickly. In the board versus him, I want the 3 Dissipates, the 2 Witchbane Orbs, maybe the Detention Sphere, probably the Needle, and the Drown Yard. Besides that, this deck did get second in one of the Moto PTQs, and it looks pretty well positioned since I don't think it can actually lose to Reanimator. But we'll see how the Jund matchup goes, assuming that's what Reed's playing. The last deck that I'm going to try against Reed is, I conveniently named it Omni-Borg. Let's pull it up. So this is an Omniscience control deck. It has 27 lands, also has 3 Fogs, 4 Farseeks, 3 Snapcasters and Negate, 4 Lanterns. So there's 8 ramp spells here, 1 removal spell, a Terminus to just in case if you need to Wrath the board in game 1, and it has Bergamos, Enraged, Omniscience, Enter the Infinite, Nicol Bolas. So with Omniscience out, if you cast Enter the Infinite, you'll probably draw enough lands to kill them with Bergamos Enraged, assuming they're not at some really absurd life total. Because if you have 10 lands out, that leaves 17 in your deck, and you can probably deal them 51 damage on the spot. But you should also notice that there is a Kessig Wolfrun in here, in case if you need to sneak in hits, and try to kill them with Return, Snapcaster Return, or just activating Kessig Wolfrun. The deck is mostly mana. It has 35 mana sources, a bunch of ramp spells, and a few tutors to go find Omniscience or whatever Fog or Terminus you might need. In the post-board game versus Reed, I think he's probably going to board out his removal, so I want to board in Tusk, Rakdos' Return, and probably Negate. Slaughter Games is okay versus us, but it's not the end of the world since we can still just kill him with our Miser cards. And we're very good at ramping up into a big Kessig Wolfrun or a Revelation if he doesn't draw Slaughter Games on time. So yeah, those are the 4 decks I'll be playing against him. They're pretty much under the radar right now, I think, since everyone's so focused on Junk Reanimator and Naya Blitz. So I think they're pretty well positioned in the current metagame. Alright, here we go. Match 1. I will start with Bant Control. I would like to play first. I would like to mulligan this hand. I guess this hand is a keeper. It's not really ideal. Gonna play Sun Petal Grove on turn 1. Then if I draw Farseek on turn 2, I can play Steam Vents. Untapped. I mean, I'm going to play Steam Vents regardless, but only if I have Farseek will I play this untapped. Yep. He's going down to 5. Honestly, the matchup is so slow that, like, it's probably fine for him to mulligan a few times in search of a slightly better hand. My deck doesn't really put on pressure very quickly, so he has time to draw out. I'm really just not doing anything. Alright, well, I think I should probably Detention Sphere that. Oh no. Here comes a Farseek for sure. Get a Howd Fountain. Yep. So I think I would really just much rather wait on this restoration angel to try to get value out of it rather than trying to kill him with it, because it's pretty likely he'll just have a removal spell after I hit him once with it. Well, that would be one of the exceptions. I guess that's okay, still. I'm gonna discard Supreme Verdict to Liliana next turn, which is probably fine. It's probably deciding what to discard to Liliana here. I guess he figured it out. Yep, it's pretty reasonable here. That's a pretty good draw. Still gonna clear out his Liliana. I don't think there's any reason not to. Am I getting bonfired? Guess so. Clears out 2 of my tusks. And I'm attacking him for 9 next turn? Guess he'll double block 1. And I'll kill his thing. Alright, let's see what we draw first. That is a good draw. So red, green, 1, pump for 3. Pretty much ends him here. He needs to be able to kill both my guys, otherwise he'll die. Alright, I'm going to sack Beast, obviously, but he probably has a tragic slip here, so. 1, 2, 3, nothing in my deck has haste. Alright, that's fine. Rev for 3 in response, obviously. It's possible I should have just not played the land and just discarded Fortress to Liliana. Actually, in fact, I think that might have been a better play. We're going to discard Hinterland Harbor now, though. Celestia Charm is pretty close to killing him, actually, so... Alright, I think he's basically dead now, because I can just make 2 guys at instant speed and discard the Supreme Verdict. That doesn't seem good for him. And I Wolf Run for 3, 4 to kill him. That was sort of an anticlimactic game. So I don't think I need all of these versus him. I want the Witchbane Orb. I want the Assemble the Legion. Healer kind of stinks versus him. I want the Dissipates, the Jaces, and the Negates. Don't think I need the Celestian Charms, really? Do they do anything versus him? Not particularly. And I don't think I need... So maybe Detention Sphere is the next worst card. Although... I like having a bunch of answers to Liliana. I'll try cutting 2 spheres on the draw. We'll see what happens here. Orb, I think, is pretty reasonable versus him, obviously. Some of the Legion is also pretty good. Just have a lot of, like, threats versus him now, honestly. I don't think Geist is particularly good in this matchup. He has a lot of creatures. Huntmaster in particular lines up well versus it. Tusk does as well. And I think just like the amount of removal he'll keep in his deck, it will just be very difficult to get in enough hits with Geist to make it worthwhile. But yeah, I like leaving in 2 verdicts, especially on the draw, just as a catch-all in case if he like somehow gets a very aggressive start. It's possible that it's not right, but I think it's a reasonable plan. Alright, this hand... It's not the best, but I'm going to try it and see what happens. Breeding Folder. He gets Stomping Ground? Yeah. Sigarda seems actually quite good versus him. He has to Bonfire it to kill it. Liliana doesn't line up well, obviously, because... well, that's what it says. Slaughter Games. He didn't play this card before. Honestly, it's like probably fine here because we have a bunch of 1-ofs in our deck. 1 and 2-ofs. He'll probably take Sphinx's Revelation, but that's really not the end of the world considering what my hand is. Like, I just have a bunch of 4 and 5 cost threats here. He also managed to take a good look of how I've sideboarded, which is kind of a big deal. so we can plan better for game 3 if there is one. It's a tusk, probably. Yep. I have no profitable response there. So he knows about the angel, and he knows about these. He doesn't know about that or that. He doesn't know these 2 cards. Just gonna play angel instead. Look, this is actually sort of problematic, I think, unless I draw my own, in which case it's probably fine. Harbor Sigarda, I think. I should have actually blocked the 5-3 last turn, I think. Yeah, I was supposed to block the 5-3 last turn, I think, and then he would have a 3-3 and a 5-3 here. Alright, let's see what happens, I guess. Dreadboard. Yeah, well, now I was definitely supposed to. I think I have to block here, just to not die. Well, that's not good. Probably discarding Kessicle Fun. Need to +1, targeting me probably. I hope to draw something good. That wasn't it, but I guess we still have like a redraw. It almost certainly needs to be Wrath next turn. Except that doesn't even do it. I guess he might attack Jace. Nope, he just goes for me. Wisely knows what matters. Probably getting bonfired for 2 though. Okay. So now that I've seen Abrupt Decay in the deck still, I'm just gonna cut the Detention Sphere, which will leave him with literally no targets for it, and leave in the 3rd Verdict instead. Just like, if he doesn't have any targets for the Decay, then it's a forced mulligan whenever he draws one. Yeah. So these games have been much quicker than the usual Bant vs. Jun matchup. Partly due to the fact that in game 1 he just didn't have a lot of cards to work with, and just basically died. That game I got kind of run over pretty quickly. Don't think this hand is good enough, so I'm gonna throw it back. Yeah, this hand's much better. I'm gonna get probably maybe Sacred Foundry? I'm gonna get Sacred Foundry. With the Farseek. Well, actually now I'm gonna get... No, still Sacred Foundry. Hopefully he doesn't have turn 2 Liliana. Nope, attack for 1, go. So, if he slaughter games me here, I would rather just cycle the Revelation for 1, even though I take a damage. I think that's probably the best. My left roll is not that relevant here, since I have a little bit of time. This also buffs Restoration Angel, so you might just not attack or do something as well. But let's see what his play is. He could cast Farseek, return for 1, return for 2, Huntmaster, Olivia. Guess I also have to counter that one. Otherwise he's just going to get way out of hand this game. And he's going to attack me for 1 now. Now I'm going to play a Tusk. And then the plan is, hopefully I draw land next turn and play Rev for 3. Summit being his 3rd land kind of tells me he doesn't really have another land in hand, I think. Actually, I guess that doesn't make sense, because if he had Summit, he would still want to play it there so he can cast Connections and then untap it with his Elf. Yeah, no, never mind. That doesn't make any sense. Though I kind of have the feeling he doesn't have a land here. And now he's trying to decide between Slaughter Games and Huntmaster, I think. Even potentially maybe Olivia Voldaren. Red. Oh, a return for 2? It's pretty solid here, actually. Not much I can do about that. Except try to beat him down, I guess, with these Thragtusks. If he has his own Tusk here, he's like almost completely fine, since it buys so much time. And he has a lot of cards still. Countered 1, played a Farseek, dissipated, and got returned for 2. Basically, if he has like any creature here, he's almost completely fine. almost any creature. Arbor Elf isn't really impactful enough. I guess it's a pretty tough decision for him, since he doesn't have an easy to cast creature. Also, basically every 5-drop in my deck is super alive by this point, which is pretty nice. Which is 2 Thragtusks, a Sigarda, Jace ×2, and 2 Assemble the Legion, I believe. All of which like are pretty close to game winning on this spot, I think. In a game like this one, I don't think Slaughter Games will be very good, since he's just so behind on life total. I guess this is a Tusk, so we can block. Nope, there's the Levia. That's a pretty bad draw. So what's gonna happen is he's gonna shoot one of my Tusks and then take control of it. Like, probably after an untap, because it becomes a vampire. That was a pretty tense decision for him, because if I drew basically anything, it would lead to him dying. Besides what I drew. What I drew there wasn't very good at all. And he's going to do it here upkeep to prevent me from drawing a Restoration Angel, which is like completely correct. I just don't attack here, and I hope to draw a land so I can Angel him. I mean, this gives him untapped land as an out to just bash me for a lot of damage, but I think just waiting to just Angel of Serenity his men is much better than the alternative. I still have some time to draw out of it. Basically, any land is now like super insane here. A return for 2, I guess? That would be sort of awkward. It looked like an X spell of some sort based on how the lands were being tapped. It's like an important thing to know how those mana ping works on Moto. It looks like, yeah, I guess that's pretty good here. Yeah. He knows I have, like, he probably put me on Angel there because I went land pass and like just not do anything. It was either an Angel or a reactive card of some sorts. But once I didn't stop his Liliana, it could only be like Supreme Verdict or a 7-drop, essentially. I'm going to... I think I still think twice here. I'm going to see what happens. So he's gonna ping my guy and steal a... Okay, I have to just flashback think twice on his end step. Yeah, that's what has to happen. He's gonna steal my guy and I'm gonna take like 11. Need to draw a Wrath. He might put me on Restoration Angel here, in which case he would just have to leave up 5 mana, which is very good for me. Unfortunately, like, once I tap out for Think Twice at his own step, then he'll just steal my guy. Or he might... I guess he's just doing it anyways? Okay, that'll resolve. So by this point, he might not even name Sphinx Revelation. He might just name Supreme Verdict. Oh my... Ugh. Really? Man. Didn't think he would do that, but... I guess that... Maybe I was supposed to flashback Think Twice in response? Yeah. Anyway, now I feel kind of stupid, I guess. If I draw Wolf Run, it's not lethal. Also, he might just Edict me here, I guess. No, he's just gonna hope I don't draw a Wolf Run, I guess. Or does he have Tragic Slip? Oh, he has Dreadbore, I guess. Which puts him at almost completely safe to win the game. Alright, well... I was supposed to flashback Think Twice, but I really didn't think he would name it there. That was well played on his part, I guess.